Good morning, everyone. E-Learning, January 2016. Stephen Allen.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Here we go. So I had a blast preparing for this session today because I was able to not only study our industry, but study other companies outside of our industry, because we have to be a constant learner or a constant have a continuous commitment to developing our
continuous learning.
Thank you.
There you go.
It took a minute to get there. And what I'm realizing is that at times we forget why we're in business. We just keep making the donuts, and we get in a mode of just doing what we do every day, forgetting our pledge to our customers. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I looked up the definition of pledge, and it's a solemn promise or undertaking. Well, that's what business is. It's a promise or an undertaking of delivering the product and the message that you want your customers to have. And as I put in quotations there, at our salon, we promise, or at our salon, our undertaking is. And you love to do business with people that completely understand what their promise to their partners or promise to their customers are on a daily basis. And I can remember when I was working at Steak and Ales under Norman Brinker's leadership, and I remember that our pledge under the umbrella of service was hot food, cold drinks, hot food, cold drinks. And that's what we all lived by and understood. So the closest person ran the food, or the closest person served the drinks. It wasn't whose table it was our overall promise to our customer. And when you understand exactly what you have to do, you don't question who's doing it. You question only how fast can we get it done. Steve, do you want to add anything to that?
I think in that light, that's the only way that the true teamwork happens, is when we don't care who gets the credit, and we stay task oriented. I think that's the way we follow through on the promises.
All right, so let's go in and take a look at some of this. All right, so we were looking at, and as we indicated, the title of this, Leadership Pledge, Team Pledge, and Customer Guest Pledge, is we have to realize that it's not a secret what this pledge is. We want our entire company and all of our partners to understand what our leadership expectations are. Is someone, whoever's on, make sure we mute. Can you mute on your side? Because we're getting some feedback. There you go. All right, so the leadership promise, thank you, is what can our team expect from you, or what can your team expect from you? And they need to know and just understand just that. It also is, in your leadership promise, what you expect from them, and explain your values and your beliefs that you expect from yourself and that you want your team to hold you accountable for. And what I did is I started Googling some leadership, and you can do this too. You start Googling leadership pledges or team pledges or customer pledges out there. And this one I really, really enjoyed. And you can go through the specifics later, but this is just an example. And I, Sally, leader, do hereby pledge to each of our team members and that I'll give 100% towards the success of the team. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
And I expect each of you to do the same. So once again, we state what our promise is and what the expectation is. We'll make mistakes, and we've got to learn from time to time. Expect you to do the same. There'll be times when I need to make tough decisions. So go back in here and now personalize and do some research from other companies or other Google searches on leadership, and find the ones that you could put on that will fit you just right. Don't try to put on something that is not possible for you. For example, I like the one that says, I will not tolerate any breach in ethical behavior If you are caught doing so, I will fire you. It's as simple as that. If that's something you could live with and that would fit you, then you put that or something like it in your leadership pledge. If not, don't. I will be on time to every meeting. I could never put that in mine because it's not something that I hit the mark on. My time management of delivery, of arriving, is never the best. Once I get there, so I couldn't put that in my leadership. My staff would say, "Who is she kidding?" So, and Steve would do that. He would add that 2 cents to the topic.
Absolutely.
But when you take a look at what you can pledge to, it's things that you know you can hit the mark on. There could be some stretch items, and you might even put in there, these are some of my stretch items that I'm working on and I need your help on. But it's a pledge to your team, and it helps them realize what kind of leader you're going to be. If there is, when you look at ethical behavior, define that if you need to, as far as conversation, the way we speak. There'll be no off-color remarks made by you about anyone else. You could have in there that dirty jokes aren't accepted in my business, and that falls under ethical behavior. You don't want that discussed in front of the customer. You don't like gossip. I mean, whatever you think you need to have in your leadership, make sure you can live up to that as well. And a leadership pledge helps your team know that they're in good hands with you because they now know what they can expect from your leadership, and you're also asking things of them. Steve?
Well, Tara, I'm trying to think, and tell me exactly on a day-to-day basis throughout the year, because this is the beginning of the year, and we're really just trying to stimulate thought and some action on the part of the salon, on the part of the owner. Tell me how this would influence your everyday.
Well, you know what? Let's go back a little bit. The reason that in the last quarter, I probably spent more time with salons that were struggling on leadership than I ever have. I'm afraid to have conversations with my staff. I'm afraid to make changes. I'm afraid to address their inappropriate conversations. I'm afraid to address how they carry themselves in social media. The conversations are just unacceptable. I'm afraid to push them. I'm afraid to say that they need to stay in the salon when they don't have a guest instead of leaving the property because they're a commission-based employee. I guess what happens is when you start a business and there's no emotion attached, you have a clear understanding in your mind as you dream for this business. When you close your eyes, you're not just thinking about a front desk and stations. You're also seeing, when you close your eyes, a room full of people being totally pleased with their experience in your salon. And then all of a sudden, the reality of the future, the reality of the business is staring you right in the face, and it's not what you wanted. It's not the business that you set out to have. And there's a line that we learned years ago from Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth, which is a read you should read at least once a year. And it said, when you open a business, it was to give you life, not take life away. And when you don't have the right leadership or the right structure in place for them to understand the expectations of themselves and what they can expect from you, I think it starts to rob you of life. It did in these owners I was sitting with. And every one of them says, I have to be a better leader. I have to address everything that I see that makes us look sloppy. Yeah, you do. And we need to understand that small shifts, these are usually small things that aren't being addressed. And when they're small, you can fix them. When they're huge, it usually is too late. So how would I use this every day? We could have our core values come from this in maybe 5 or 6 single words, whether it's no gossip, help each other, respect all the time. You can decide what you want from this that could be something that you address on a daily basis. And you want to make sure that you're living by these principles that you live by and that you're expecting your staff to live by. And when you hire someone, you can share with them, this is how we do it here. Not like that, like this. And I think in an everyday life, it brings you back. This can't be on a piece of paper that's shoved in a drawer. This probably has to be in the back room hanging up. I mean, even at PSC, I after these 2 days, are realizing that there's some things that we need to be brought back to the forefront on a daily basis. And I'm going to ask our director team to come together and say, okay, on these topics, have we evolved? Are there some things that we need to get better at? Some things we lost sight of? Some things we're doing really well and need to continue to celebrate? But this is something you should be looking at on a yearly basis because it does keep you as the leader. Sometimes we get so close to our staff that our leadership almost feels guilty to lead. Our leadership feels guilty. And, gosh, how do I want to equate this? I just had it in the forefront of my mind. You know, they say the hardest group of people to manage are less than 10 or primarily women. Well, we have both of that in our business. And it's because women pay attention to these principles or they watch each other's behavior so closely. So when we say this is how we will do it here, it'll keep people on the right track, or it should put them back on the right track. This also becomes a great way when something is off to bring that back in and say, here's our pledge. I told you I would be addressing things. I'll be honest with you on all matters. I need your input, and this is why we're meeting today. I need to be honest with you on a couple of things. And you know what? I guess I'm not smart enough to wait to address things. If anything, I'm guilty of is moving too fast on occasion. But I can tell you that when something is out of sync, I address it very quickly. Steve, that's not you. You don't address it fast enough, and I sometimes address it too fast. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do is make sure that people know where they stand with you. They shouldn't have to say, gosh, what is he thinking? Does he like my work? Or they should know. And it's absolutely fair for them to have that kind of honesty from you. That's not a negative. That's a really strong positive. And all these owners that I met with in good salons and really good potential salons are struggling with this. I had one salon owner that the salon is so beautiful. I mean, there's not a thing out of place. But that's her safe place. When she gets nervous in her leadership, she redesigns the salon. She moves things around, straightens it up, tweaks it. And I said, I need you to be as committed to your leadership as you are to your decorating. And she says, but that's when I'm safe. I said, yes, but you know what? It's costing you. I'm glad the place looks beautiful, but your staff needs leadership. And this is why this leadership pledge is so important. Does anyone have any comments or questions on this topic that you'd like to bring to the forefront? Steve will be...
Terry, would you like to have me read real quick the school leader promise?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's probably about 15 lines.
Okay.
It says, first of all, I promise to be present in the school. I promise to play with you on the clinic floor and create magic. I promise to participate in student programs. I promise to support and participate in the school's annual National Andrew Gomez fundraising campaign. I promise to offer you opportunities to participate in student programs, including design team, student council, and take-home team. I promise to offer you outstanding programs, including the honors program, the dean's list, and phase 2. I promise to support our school clubs, including Quitters Club, Be Nice or Else Club, Green Club, John Paul Pet Club, and Social Networking Club. I promise to provide you with the opportunity to participate in CAPER. I promise to provide you support in networking with potential employers after graduation to help you find your dream job or your dream career. I promise to provide you with highly trained and skilled learning leaders. I promise to motivate and inspire you on the first day of core with a welcome and motivational message. I promise that each core class will experience the Shot in the Arm program and character awards. I promise to maintain our Paul Mitchell facility to the highest standard, and I promise that my door will always be open and I will be available to you.
Amen. Right?
Yeah.
So when we look at that, if you're on track or off track, I can hear things, I go, absolutely, right on, perfect. Uh-oh, we need help right there. And it keeps you in line with yourself. That's what I love about it, is if you get out of sync and say, oh my gosh, I'm so out of sync, go back to your pledge, read it, or to your promise list. It could be your leadership promise, and go back and say, am I doing these things? Any questions on that? I love it. I love the schools. I mean, that's a lot. And if you don't have the right systems in place, you're not going to accomplish that list. And if you don't have the right people in place, you're not going to accomplish that list either. Right?
True. And the other side of it is that, like most things, what you notice, I would see referencing this list for the school leader's promise. If something isn't feeling quite right in the school, I'd look backwards to that and say, where have I lessened my leadership promise? Because I'm not getting the result that I want. I know if I'm living up to that promise, I'm going to get the result that I want. So that's the type of thing you should be looking at writing. In theory, basically it's saying, where are you going to show up as an owner, as a leader, as a developer of people? What opportunities are you going to provide for people who work with you on your team? What can, as Terry said earlier, what can they count on from you? And I think that those are important things to list out. Where will you show up? What can they count on? What opportunities? I'm certain that education is going to be a part of your promise. So I do think I think it's an amazing. It's an opportunity to kind of refocus.
Right. And you know what? It's your business. You pledge what you want your business to be. So I think Sally's and the schools are very, very good. And I would love working for someone like that. Right? Okay, let's go to the next one. The leadership fit. When you look at, we've talked about SWOT analysis, and you can say, okay, I don't even know how to start. I don't know how to start making my list. Well, how you do that is you do a SWOT analysis and list all your strengths, list your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and we're going to do more of that later on. But this will allow you to know what areas you can bank on immediately and what areas you want to pledge to work on and that you need their help on, right? Okay. Here's the team promises. What can your team expect from each other? And they need to know and understand that this is a safe place and that these promises are in place to make it a safe place. I can remember one time when the children, Steve's grown children, were young, and I think Erin, if she's on the line, she always laughs, and Craig, because I always use them as examples, but they were having an argument. It didn't even make sense. And Steve said, come here. Let's go to the window. And they went to the window, and he looked outside, and he said, look out there. That's not a friendly world sometimes. It's a good world, but sometimes it's not friendly and fair. And when you're with each other and family, this needs to be our safe place together. There's a war going out there in areas, but in here, I'm not going to not have you be good for each other and safe for each other. And that's kind of what happens in business. It's a whole world out there that's competing for that discretionary income. And there's room for all of us to be successful in the salon. But if we've got something out of sync, something that's not feeling right, the salon's no longer going to be a safe place, and it's going to be someone else's perception of our business. You know, they had a study years ago where a group of children were looking at two houses, and they were like doll houses. And the facilitators told the young children, now look at this house. This house has no bedtime. This house has no chores. This house can do whatever they want. This house can eat chocolate 24 hours a day. This house, and it went on and on. You're following me. Doesn't have to put their toys away, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this house over here. And when they looked in that house, it was an absolute disaster. Then they looked over here and saw a structure. This house does have curfews. This house does have to make their bed. This house does have to brush their teeth. This house does have to eat dinner. I mean, I feel like I'm describing our house right now, Steve, the bad one. And the children, when they said, where do you want to live, they all said they wanted to live in the safe house. Even though the other one's very attractive, they all want structure and things that they can count on to be successful. So here's a pledge. This is an example of a team pledge. And would I have them get together and write it? Absolutely. I mean, this one isn't a long one, but it just is I'll be a positive leader who sets examples for my teammates, positive attitude and actions. I promise to share positive energy. I will not be an energy vampire, nor will I sabotage myself and team with negativity, complaining, and excuses. Now you get the idea. Have your team come together and say, okay, what are we going to, especially your senior staff, what is going to be our team commitment? We saw the leaders, now this is ours, working with each other under our leadership. And I love the last lines. When I feel fear, I will choose faith. When I face adversity, I will find strength. And you know, there's times when we lose customers. There's times when we're not busy. There's times that our rescheduling rate's really bad. We don't know what we're doing wrong. And we've got to come back and find strength. And we also have to say in our team that I will look at all of you and each other as coaches. I need your help. We need to count on each other, not just our leadership, but we need to count on each other to bring out the best in each other. And I think that makes a big difference when you've got a team that's working together. You can tell when something's not right. When we've got someone that something's going on, and you know what? When anytime an owner calls me and they'll say, you know, I'm losing such and such, and I'll say, okay, you know, I don't understand. She was such a good employee for a long time, and I'll say, okay, any lifetime changes in her life that have happened? New boyfriend, new marriage, moving, now her commute's a lot longer. What has changed that she was a great employee and now she's not? And sometimes our team can recognize that even before our leadership does. And if the team has a commitment to say, look, we're going to bring you up. We're not going to let you, we're going to go back and get you. You know, sometimes we've got people that are doing great and all of a sudden they kind of lose their edge. We've got to make a decision. We're either going to remove them or we're going to go back and get them. And that could be a great team commitment as well. Steve, what do you want to add to this? Because I love this.
Yeah, I do too. I think that, I mean, there's so much on this one in every line. Every line is so powerful. When I make a mistake, I'll own it and seek to improve.
Oh my gosh, what a great lesson to learn. You know, even children, they hate admitting to a mistake. We had this is kind of funny because I'm a dance mom, and Steve and I laugh about it because I'm so not the typical dance mom. And we went to a program, and you could see in the room where the girls were changing. So I took glue and put paper up. And I got in big trouble for it. I got called out on it. A big email sent to all the dance moms in the whole organization saying, okay, someone put glue and paper on the doors and it's $100, and if someone has, can't remember how they worded it, but if someone has would be willing to take and own up to it. If not, all the mothers have to pitch in and do the $100 together. And I wrote back immediately, hey, it was me. I mean, I have nothing to hide. It was me. I'm sorry, but this is the reasons. And people were looking at the girls and they were undressing. And when you can get and help people, I mean, it's a lot easier at 55 to declare a mistake than it is at 10. I understand that. And at 20 and sometimes even at 30. People don't want to own up to it. But when you do, it feels great. And people understand that really says what your character is. And then we, in the same email, it said, some of you mothers didn't have everything. I said, that was me too. I didn't have things. And they wrote back, thank you so much for taking responsibility. Gosh, is that a lost art now? Do people just act like they didn't do it? And if we can bring that out in our business, like who didn't clean up the color bowls or who didn't declare that we were out of things, and if you get a team that says, hey, that's on me. I love when I watch sports and a quarterback says to the wide receiver, hey, that was me, not you. I just admire that. I love when the receiver looks at the quarterback and says, hey, that was me. Your throw was perfect. I screwed up on that. When I make a mistake, I will own it and seek to improve, and I'm going to need your help. That's probably what I would add. But we've got to have that. And then sometimes now, when people make a mistake, we'll post it on social media. And what kind of team environment are we going to have if something like that's happening? Steve, you just watched something about bullying that you couldn't believe.
Yes, CNN did a special on being 13 years old in America today. And
those are our future hairdressers, right?
Oh, sure. They're a few years from school. But what's so amazing is the way people use. You know what they said? They said the line between real life and life on the internet. Not only has it blurred, but it no longer exists. Someone's footprint on the internet is real life, because it's witnessed by so many other people. And I think that, you know, when you look at that and say, okay, there's so much now, and I don't want to get off topic, but this doesn't relate to just the physical four walls of your salon business.
That's right.
This is the sum total of every effort, of every time that any of you or your team leaves a print, leaves a message in any of the social media platforms. That reflects back on them and on the salon business and so on. And it just it puts a lot more. You know, news travels faster, information travels faster. I'll never forget, there was a situation with a particular salon, a stylist that worked in a salon and went in the morning and had lost their job, and within 10 minutes had posted a message on Facebook to whoever clients they had as friends. But that's how fast. I mean, it would normally take weeks for that to get to their entire base. This was 10 minutes later. They were saying, I no longer work there. And so how do we make sure that we're constantly have our entire team focused on what's important and what's important now, and what did I stand for? I met with a young lady last night who's getting ready to graduate, and we had such a good conversation. But it was really about I was encouraging her to journal and to constantly be making a list of what it was that she expected, what it was that she wanted her career to be, and to keep looking at that. And why I've often said, why is that only important when someone's graduating school? Why aren't we doing that in our careers?
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
And so that's something that came. There's a book called The Dream Manager, and it really looked at young people, children, preschool children, are so much better at dreaming than we as adults are. And I think part of that is because, maybe along the way we've let things crush the dreams that we have, or we've altered, or we've become cynical. I think cynicism is one of the key things that takes away our business vision.
Well, I think that's an excellent point, but do you think there could be some bullying happening? Is there bullying happening in the schools?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you witness it. Do you think there's bullying happening in our salons that we partner with? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, so how do we make it a safe place? And that's why when we look at our leadership pledge, that's why this is so key to us right now, is we look at our leadership pledge, we look at our team pledge, and we're going to attract, once we put these things in place, you have to hire for character. I used to say that the number, they're still important to me. I'm looking for someone when I'm interviewing for a great storyteller. I'm looking for contagious enthusiasm. I want to feel passion from them. But I'm telling you, one of the main things I'm looking for right now is character. Absolutely character. Now, how do I find that out? I've got to ask questions that can either prove or disprove character. And I've got to find out what those are, because if I bring someone in, and we've all done this, and Steve and I have done it, and you've done it, where we didn't do enough homework on them, it's going to hurt us. Okay, so let's go. The team fit. When you live by the team pledge, the right team will be attracted. And that's what's, when you live by it. I want them to come in and say, hey, we're something special here. And we're going to want to do a SWOT analysis. They can do one on themselves or overall and per team member. They take a look at what are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the biggest thing about this is when you live by that pledge, you're going to attract the right people. Just this last week, I had such a fun day in my life, and I'm hoping it's not too corny for all of you, but how often do you get to go back in time? One of the reasons I love Facebook, love it, is because of the old relationships you can check in on or honor from the past. So, gosh, I left the restaurant industry, 30 years ago. And my home restaurant in Plymouth, Michigan was being torn down, and they had it on Facebook. Steak and Ale, Plymouth, Michigan, being torn down. My boss, Tom Booth, was in the picture, and all of a sudden, all these people that worked together came in and started posting memories and started saying, oh my gosh, what a team we had. And Tom wrote that the team that was there at one point was one of the strongest crews he ever had, and people were bringing up memories. I'm telling you, that team was very, very strong, and they honored each other. And we were very, very fussy on who we brought in. They better live up to and be that good. So when you raise the standards and you live by that pledge, you are going to attract a different kind of team member. And also you'll be attracted to the right team member. Not only will they be attracted to you, but you'll be attracted to them. Steve?
Oh, no doubt. That's true. It's our responsibility to remain contagious, to have a contagious that feel, that someone that we put out what we want and the type of teammate we want to join us.
Well, you look at
if you haven't got them yet, you keep going.
And this isn't just about talent. Look at Johnny Idiot Football. He a great talent, but look at his decision making and playing for the Cleveland Browns, my hometown team. What an idiot! Talk about not honoring your teammates. I mean, he's a good athlete. This isn't about athlete. This is about his decision making and his ego. And talk about his head getting in the way. So he might ruin this whole thing for himself, and he could have been something really special. So we've hired people that had the talent. They just didn't have the ability to understand how to support and honor our organizations. Okay, the next one is the guest promise. What can your guests expect from the salon? And explain your values and beliefs for the guest experience. What do you want that guest to experience? And you make a list of them. Now, this is one, I found this one yesterday. I loved it. In fact, if I had to have my car fixed, I'd want to go here. The entire customer service experience is important to us. It's why we hire courteous, knowledgeable, and friendly people. I would have never put courteous, knowledgeable, and friendly people as adjectives for people fixing cars. But this company did. You should expect only the repairs needed, done right the first time at a fair price. Love that. We explain what your vehicle needs in plain and easy to understand language so you know exactly what repairs are needed and why we're recommending them. Good. The majority of our customers are referred by existing customers that have the faith and trust in us to refer their friends, coworkers, and family members. We love fixing cars, and it shows. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. How good is that? Just even that. Doesn't that company feel different than somebody else? It does to me. Mm-hmm. And the trouble is they better live like this. What happens if they have this sign up and every one of these they go, well, that's not you. Well, that's not you. Well, you never tell me anything. I don't understand what you're talking about. But now you got to live by this so the customers say, absolutely. This is exactly why I come here. And so what's our pledge to our customers? And what do we need that to say? So now, once again, we have a leadership pledge, we have a team pledge, and now we have a customer pledge. And some of you would know how to take your pledge and do beautiful things with it. But now your customer knows what they can expect from you and what your intentions are every day. Now, not all, every one of us makes mistakes. We always say at PSC, we might not execute perfectly every day, but our intentions are perfect every day. We know that our job is to make a hairdresser's life better, and we know that. And our decision making, whether it's through order fulfillment, whether it's through our in-field representation of our salon consultants, whether it's through our education and our systems and services, we're thinking every day, how do we make it better? Is execution going to fail still? Absolutely. But we know what our intentions are. Your pledge to your customers is exactly about your intentions of what you want them to experience in your business. Steve?
Absolutely. I think that what I was trying to do is think of two of these pledges that I've seen over the years in our business. Sometimes it's good to look outside, and then sometimes you need examples inside. And I remember that there's a great spa out east that's owned by Carmen Di Pasquale, and he came up with a guest's right to know that which absolutely is a pledge that was put on the wall that said, you have the right to know this, this, and this. In fact, I'm seeing if I can pull it up real quick. Client's right to know.
And that falls under, before we do anything, you will not be surprised by the price at the end, because we'll discuss. It's your right to know. It's your right to know how much length is taken out. It's your right to know, to understand the color process. It's your right to know why we have, whether it's a color bar or shampoo, wash house, you are right to know why we have these things in place.
Yes, just a quick shortened version. I remembered it as longer, but this is what I just found. It says, we guarantee a complimentary consultation before most salon or spa services so that we can ensure that you get exactly what you came for. Guidance about which services, products, and accessories we offer that will enhance not just your sense of style, but your lifestyle. A personalized recommendation for beauty and wellness products that maximize and maintain the results of this visit through to the next. It's our client's right to know guarantee, one we consider a privilege to uphold. You know, and again, there's 3 sentences, 4 including the last one, but it's well said. And any salon, any spa could write one similar but unique to your own salon, and post it on the wall, and now you've got that's holding the words almost, that pledge to your customer, because that's really what it's about. It's not the rules that you're making to enforce on your people. This is a pledge. We all agreed that we were going to be extraordinary and that we were going to deliver extraordinary service. And there is a method to delivering extraordinary service. And so if it hides or if it's manifested rather by these 4 sentences, that this is what you're going to get every single time that you walk into our salon or that you encounter our business.
Love that. And is this not a great night for everyone to come together and we write these as a team? I mean, your leadership, I mean, you can veto anything, but we come back together and say, okay, let's brainstorm, let's green light. Way of thinking, green light is you put anything out there and say, okay, these are all the things we could list. And I see PSC recreating ours too. We've got things from the past, but we want to take and I want to condense this even more to say, okay, how are we living by this every day? We had something we wrote years ago called the 20 Basics, and we got that from a company we were studying. And maybe we don't need 20 anymore. Maybe they can be condensed, but maybe we need to be thinking about our pledges. And that's what I love, even teaching. Not only does it help you understand where your customer can go, but it also helps you understand where you can go. So I'm excited about that for even PSC. Okay, when you live by the service pledge, the right guests will be attracted. This kind of goes back. I know it sounds like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but you want to look at your SWOT analysis. What are the strengths of your customer? What's the profile of the customers that are really, really loyal to you? What are the weaknesses of the customers that don't return on a regular basis? There's probably things that they have in common. And I want to look at, this is a SWOT example of a hotel, and I want to go through these because this is theirs. It doesn't have to be a ton of pages, but this hotel has a very strong, well-known brand name with guests that know us. They know that if people know our name, we have a well-known brand. We have a high quality of service and standards. We're top of the line in customer service and hospitality. They do not have to sacrifice standards to reach customers because their customers that they attract will be willing to pay for their standards. They're able to charge a higher fee for quality service and name. These are their strengths. Okay? Their weaknesses is they're expensive during a poor economy, and they're only attainable to the wealthy. And so they know that's a weakness for them. How do they overcome that? Their opportunities is they're going to be attracting large groups of people for weddings, events, and trade events, because people usually have a budget for weddings, events, and trade events, so we've got to really work on that. That's what they said. They're advertising to upper class and retirement with money to spend, and they're going to go after them and probably look at publications and such where retired people who are in retirement that want to spend on luxury vacations and such, they're going to go after them. I thought this was interesting. They're marketing to wealthy women whose children are grown and are looking to create memories. I thought that was a very interesting opportunity. That's who they're going to go after too. And their threats in this are their economic conditions and other hotels with competitive offers. You know, they're not the only one in that high luxury brand. And so how are they going to compete with the other hotels? These are their threats. All right, so now you take a look at yours, and what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Sometimes we want to put our weakness is location. And maybe it is, but what's our opportunity, and what can we do about that? And so I like how they listed here, even being at the highest price and the highest standard, they still have weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I wanted you to see that. So could a salon easily create a SWOT on their business based on price point? They certainly could, based on service, and so on and so forth. But what are the threats that you're going to have to overcome as your prices go up too? The difference would be, I want to look at this too. We've got differences that can change some of these weaknesses and threats. And I did 2015 side by side and 2016 at the bottom. The examples of 2015 is we had 6 available chairs. We were open 60 hours a week. That's 360 hair hours. We only had 3 hairdressers working 40 hours each, or 120 possible hair hours. That's 33% occupied and 66% or more empty. What we're going to do in 2016, and this is what we did with the salon, is we're going to take our 6 available chairs and we're going to be open 40 hours a week. That's 240 hair hours available. We're going to find 3 more hairdressers, and we all are going to work the same hours, and we're going to try to get to 100%. So that's one of our action plans, is we've got to get our hours changed and get more people in here so our footprint of noise is bigger. Our salon objectives, which could be based on our opportunities, is we want to get that occupancy rate from 33 to 70% or beyond. So we're going to change the salon hours, and everyone's working the same full-time schedule and everyone's working the same part-time schedule with approval. We're going to recruit and hire 3 new hairdressers. Recruiting scheduled a minimum of once per month, because I can do it now because the salon's not open 60 hours a week. We want to get our reschedule rate from 37 to 55% or beyond by year end. So we need to be committed to team dialogue. We need to monitor each day by celebrating and respond. And then we have to find an acceptable standard to work towards. Our salon objectives continued is because we're working 40 hours a week, not 60, we can now do weekly updates and meetings to create more connection. And we can do more education because we're not open 60 hours a week, so we can do off-site education, in-salon education, and maybe do a SWOT analysis once a year per employee and per category. And we can look at these pledges, and all of these, if you can notice that these objectives will become easier to identify and easier to accomplish because you're putting the right leadership, team, and guest objectives in place too with your pledges. I don't know, I'm excited about this. These are just some of the things that we've been working on with salons, and I think we're going to have a good year talking about these specific topics. Let's open this up for questions now, Steve, can you?
Muted.
You can. I think you can unmute all. On the panel next door, have you done that? Let's see. Uh-oh. I just lost my application. The session's already running. Okay. I can only have one session, so how do I get back to my session? Okay, here we go. All right, Terry, did you hit unmute? Am I gone? Hello? Hello? Did I mute myself? Hello?
Glass of wine. I don't really binge or guzzle anymore. Yeah, so Lola, take your nap and I'll talk to you later. But please don't forget my leaves. Okay.
Hello.
I will. I'll take it. I'll take it as soon as this class is over. It'll be over at 11. It's 10 o'clock over here. All right, baby. Love you too. Bye.
Hello?
Hi, Steve.
Hi. My line crossed with someone else, and all of a sudden I had a person talking about having a glass of wine and taking a nap. And I knew that couldn't have come from our audience.
No.
So who's still on? Who am I talking with?
This is Ursula.
Hi, Ursula.
How are you?
Is it just us? Something weird happened
It
to
could be. I don't know.
the whole webinar.
Tracy Potacek's still here as well.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Steve.
Okay, we have a question. Oh, okay. Molly's here.
I'm still there, Steve.
Joe's here. Where's Terry? Anybody heard from her? She's such a technology guru. All
Hello?
right.
I think she muted herself.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
I think that's
Who
the
is this?
class line.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I'm back.
I'm confused. This is my first time taking this class.
That's okay.
Well,
Okay.
Am I
glad to
back
have
now?
you.
Am I
You're back
back?
now.
Okay, good.
Terry, you're
All
back.
right, all right, so now, when you
Thank you.
tell me what you guys, sorry maybe we won't open this up for questions. All right, so tell us, Dolly, I know you probably have a question, Trace, or just a comment. Give us, or Jen, what are you guys thinking about?
Okay. They seem to be speechless.
All right. Well,
I
we're
do
hoping.
have a question.
Okay.
My question is, I'm in full agreement, and I'm hoping that I heard both of you correct in saying when you spoke of character, and also I feel service can be something that is that can always be improved upon, but personal skills are a little bit harder to be taught. And if you're struggling in that area with a particular employee, is there a time frame that should be put on that, or is that something that is a remove immediate, or like I said, do you give a time frame, and what's an appropriate time frame?
I think that's a great question. You know, I think that every leader, because I said earlier, as I said, I probably do 30 days. Steve would probably do 90 days. And if anything, you could do a 30-day, and maybe not call it probation, but a review of fit. You know, I mean, obviously you've got a problem with someone right now that's under your skin a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, you've got to get that out on the table and have a very, very honest conversation and say, I'm questioning your fit here. I'm questioning if this is the right place. I'm questioning if I can bring out the greatness in you, because, I mean, there's times that people say they're happy and you go, no, you're really not, and your actions say otherwise. So I'd probably do 30 days and look for something immediate. If I see some progress, maybe I extend it to 60 or 90, but I'd be looking for something huge.
Okay.
And you want to see immediate progress.
Something.
Not that it's fixed totally, but you want to see progress going in the right direction immediately. Because sometimes you can have a meeting and you break the huddle and you think, okay, I really got that across, and then you wait and you wait and you wait to see anything at all happen or anything at all change. And so I would say set the expectation that we're working with you in this process. We believe in you, but you have to help us. We have to see some immediate activity.
Okay.
I feel like with the team pledge and the leadership promises, especially if you pull together your team and you come together with that team pledge together, I think that you will know almost immediately if this person is a fit, and I think the person will find out on their own. And a lot of times they'll dismiss themselves if they realize that they're like, no, I don't want to have to give the best service every single time. No, I don't want to have to attend the education that's required every single time. I feel like they almost reveal themselves before we can even see it.
I think that's a great point. I mean, we had another question that kind of piggybacks to what you just said. How would you overcome obstacles instituting some of the policies you want to introduce if you have long-time existing staff? I mean, what happens, for example, maybe you want to do a different policy in the company, or you want to change the hours and someone doesn't want to do that. I mean, sometimes you have to release some of the baggage to get the company where you want to go. And are there going to be people that are going to have a hard time with change? Sure they are. And I think about the changes we've made in the last 5 years, whether it's representation of people or product lines or enhancements in systems and services and changes. It's only a change for a short period of time. And then it becomes the new normal. But I think we ask for team support and say, you know, we find these changes are necessary and we're asking for full commitment from our staff. And I think if it's presented the right way, it might not ever feel good, but we've got to take the chance to help better our situation and our business. And I agree with you, Trace. Go ahead.
I think it's something that has to be consistent too. We talked about this the other day in the class we had. That in the salon world, we're so known for starting and stopping things. We get fired up about something and we institute a policy, or we go to a class and we hear this person speak, and we come back and we institute it. And 3 weeks later, we're no longer even talking about it. It was going to be the thing that set us apart, and now we're not talking about it. So the staff almost learns, especially the long-time staff, they learn, let's just wait this out. This too will pass.
That's very true.
And so make sure that we've got that thought process in advance, and that we all agree to the jumping off point, and that we're going to follow it through.
Good. All right, we're at 11 o'clock. With technical difficulty, we're at 11 o'clock. But I'm hoping this made a difference. I hope this was thought-provoking, and that it will want to create and stimulate some ideas and expectation and shifts in your business, and that's what our intentions are. So execution, like I said earlier, isn't always perfect because Terry was driving the bus on this one, but our intentions are to make a difference, and I'm hoping it's something that's going to keep you thinking for the rest of the day and the days to come as we start this wonderful new year together.
Thank you,
Stephen Allen?
Terrific. Thank you so much. We appreciate the time you spend with us, and and we are committed to helping you grow your business. So thanks, and until next month.
Okay, be good, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.